The Zeebrugge disaster trial over the deaths of 192 people collapses at the Old Bailey. P&O European Ferries and 7 of its former employees are acquitted of manslaughter on the direction of the judge because of a lack of evidence. Liberal Democrats celebrate their victory in the Eastbourne by-election. Conservatives admit it's disappointing. Edward Heath, on his way to Baghdad, says there's overwhelming public support for his mission. And a breakthrough in birth control, a contraceptive injection for men. Charges of manslaughter, which were brought against all the defendants in the trial arising from the Zeebrugge disaster, have been dropped. The case against P&O European Ferries Dover and 7 of its former employees collapsed after the judge ruled that the prosecution was unable to prove its case against 5 of the defendants. The prosecution then withdrew charges against the remaining 2 employees, saying it would not be in the public interest to proceed. 192 people were killed when the Herald of Free Enterprise capsized in 1987.
None of the defendants would talk directly to reporters at court, although they were clearly relieved that the threat of long prison sentences had finally been lifted. The Herald's captain spoke through his solicitor of the continuing grief felt by those who'd lost relatives and friends in the disaster. He said those who survived the capsize would remember that night for as long as they lived, as would relatives of 192 people who died. 7 men were acquitted of manslaughter today. Mark Stanley was assistant bosun on the Herald. It was his job to close the bow doors. On the night of the capsize, he was asleep in his cabin. The prosecution said the loading officer, Leslie Sable, the man here with the beard, failed to make sure the doors were closed. Captain David Lurie was accused of taking his ship to sea without checking that the doors had been shut. The Crown said John Kirby, the senior master, should have instructed the loading officer never to leave his position until the doors had been closed. John Eltindor, a shore-based executive, was said to have done nothing to implement suggestions he'd received for a system of door indicator lights. The Crown said Geoffrey Devlin, director of the company, dealt inadequately with suggestions warning lights. Wallace James Ayres, another director, was also accused of failing to meet his safety responsibilities. The 8th defendant, representing court rights lawyers, was P&O European Ferries Dover Limited, which at the time was called Townsend Car Ferries Limited. It's only the 2nd time the company has been charged with manslaughter. On a previous occasion, 25 years ago, the company was also found not guilty. Mr. Justice Turner said this morning that the prosecution was trying to prove that the defendants had given no thought to an obvious and serious risk that the Herald might go to sea with its bow doors open. But he told the jury there was no evidence the relevant defendants were ever aware that this was remotely possible in real life. They hadn't been told of other near disasters.
For more than a week now, Mr. Justice Turner has been telling the Director of Public Prosecutions, Alan Green, that there was no evidence to justify continuing with charges against the 2 masters, the 3 shore-based executives, and the company itself. But Mr. Green clearly took the view that if anyone was going to throw out this case, it would have to be the judge, not the prosecution. What Mr. Green did this morning was to truncate the Crown's remaining evidence from several weeks to a few minutes. As expected, the judge then directed the jury to acquit 6 of the defendants, and the Crown then dropped the charges against the remaining 2.
A lawyer for 2 of the company's former executives said the prosecution should never have been brought.
I don't know why they went on, something you'd have to address to the DPP, that he brought the proceedings at all. It's surprising that the magistrate didn't throw them out in the first place almost a year ago. Was surprising to us that he then continued to pursue them in the light of the judge making it plain that he didn't think there was a case is surprising.
But those who lost relatives in the tragedy left court disappointed.
We think it's been very unsatisfactory, the whole trial. The real issues have not been aired, the issue of responsibility at the top level. We are singularly unimpressed by the Crown's presentation of the case. I think they could have done a lot better, and I think they missed the point on so many occasions.
Labour's transport spokesman said companies should be made more accountable.
It's quite a deplorable decision. Despite an inquest saying an unlawful killing has taken place, despite people dying because the ship went to sea with the bow doors open, and the management of the highest level of sloppiness, according to the inquiry, apparently we can't prosecute them. That, I think, is totally unacceptable.
The Purley train crash is the only recent disaster to result in a manslaughter conviction. In the Zeebrugge case, what seemed at first to be a question of apportioning blame turned out to be not as simple as the prosecution had thought.
The Liberal Democrats have been celebrating after their victory in the Eastbourne by-election. Their candidate, David Bellotti, overturned a Tory majority of 17,000 to win by 4,500 votes, a swing of 20%. Mr. Bellotti called it the beginning of the end of Thatcherism. The Conservative Party chairman, Kenneth Baker, called it very disappointing. The Labour leader, Neil Kinnock, said the loss for the Tories was a hammer blow. The by-election was caused by the murder of Ian Gow in an IRA car bomb attack last July. The result of Eastbourne was David Bellotti for the Liberal Democrats, 23,415. Richard Hickmett, Conservative, 18,865. Charlotte Atkins, Labour, 2,308. David Ahern, Green, 553. Four other candidates shared more than 900 votes. Our political correspondent, John Sopel, reports.
David Bellotti this morning, a little self-consciously, performed his first constituency duties as a newly elected MP.
David, this round is wait.
He kept the photographers happy, but it was also a chance to savour the moment and talk big.
I think it shows that we can win seats that the Conservatives hold with very large majorities, and clearly if we can do this across the country, then the Liberal Democrats are really going to form a majority in government.
By the time the returning officer came to the rostrum, everyone in the hall knew the result, but few believed it.
David Frank Bellotti has therefore been elected to serve in Parliament as the member for Eastbourne.
The Conservatives appeared to be in a state of shock. A Tory citadel since 1906 had fallen.
Clearly tonight, this result can be seen as the beginning of the end of Thatcherism as we know it.
But if the mood was subdued, sombre even at the count, it soon gave way to ecstatic celebration. To be holding a victory party was a prospect that not even the most wildly optimistic Liberal Democrat had dared to contemplate. But the scale of the Tory defeat was in many ways more spectacular than the Liberal Democrats' victory. Richard Hickmett had arrived at the count like a man waiting to claim his inheritance. As the evening wore on, though, it became clear that the Tories' argument, that unless there was a massive vote for their candidate, it would be a moral victory for the terrorists, had cut little ice. The Ian Gow factor brought them no sympathy. The state of the economy cost them the critical votes.
It would be facile to say that the campaign that we run was responsible for this defeat. I don't think that's right at all. The government is unpopular, let's face it. There's no two ways about that. And the result that we had last night was a reflection of if you like, midterm blues. And I think the government is seriously going to have to consider the conclusions that it draws from the defeat last night.
The next election is going to be a tough one. We have a fight in our hands. This does underline it, so we've got to come out fighting.
Mrs. Thatcher is said to be disappointed. It also rather undermines one of her best jokes from her speech to the Tory party conference, comparing the Liberal Democrats' new emblem to a dead parrot. Paddy Ashdown in Eastbourne this lunchtime was only too happy to supply the riposte.
Mrs. Thatcher must be greatly regretting her, I thought, rather distasteful joke of last week. The parrot and twitch. This is some dead parrot. If she nipped her in a way she ain't going to forget, and I tell you, it's coming back for more.
Labour were never looking at anything other than third place, and today are trying to play down the significance of their defeat and the Liberal Democrat revival.
We did badly there, we've always done badly there, but it is not typical even of southern England, where the Liberals are in a bad third place generally now.
But for some MPs, the significance is far graver than which party won or lost.
The IRA have assassinated an MP, on this occasion a Conservative MP. By doing so, they have caused his seat to change hands. That suggests that there are circumstances in which they are able to influence the composition of the British Parliament. Now, I think that is a very dangerous message to send out to them.
While the Liberal Democrats celebrate, the claim is this is a major comeback. But detractors will argue they've had many revivals that haven't stood the test of time. As Richard Hickmett quietly leaves Eastbourne, the Tories know they need a substantial reverse in their fortunes before it's safe for them to call a general election.
The former Prime Minister, Edward Heath, is due to arrive shortly in Jordan on his way to Iraq. He hopes to meet the Iraqi President, Saddam Hussein, in Baghdad, and to persuade him to allow sick and elderly British hostages to go free. Mr. Heath says he's received hundreds of letters from relatives of people in he's going there.
A week later than planned, and with the argument still unresolved over whether it was the Foreign Secretary who asked him to go, Mr. Heath was finally on his way this morning. First he'll meet King Hussein in Jordan, then President Saddam Hussein in Baghdad on Sunday. Public reaction here, he says, has been almost entirely favourable.
The mail has been enormous, and they've all said, thank God you're going.
What negative response have you had, sir?
I've only had one letter,
And what does that say?
not repeatable.
What's the minimum result you expect, Mr. Heath?
I'm not trying to forecast at all.
The former Prime Minister follows other international political figures who've been to Baghdad to plead for hostages. Austrian President Waldheim persuaded the Iraqis to set free about 90. The Soviets have been promised that 2,000 will be let go. Mr. Heath's priorities are the elderly and the sick amongst the Britons held in Iraq, of whom there are about 40. Also on her way to Baghdad is Mrs. Gilly Battersby, the first British woman to ignore Foreign Office advice and return to be with her hostage husband there. Mrs. Battersby left Kuwait shortly after the Iraqi invasion, but said during a stopover in Oman last night that she couldn't remain at home near Lincoln alone.
My husband, I've been married 19 years. I went shopping on the road last week, saw all the Christmas things coming out of the shop, and I made my decision there.
Mrs. Battersby says she's been promised she will be able to return to England when her 30-day visa runs out.
In Iraq, the authorities say they'll start rationing petrol and oil from next Tuesday. It's because they're running short of the chemicals used for making petrol. The Foreign Secretary, Douglas Hurd, said it was a sign that UN sanctions against Iraq were working.
It's taken 10 weeks of persistent and almost total blockade of Iraq to have its first serious effect. But now the third biggest producer of oil in the world has been obliged to restrict its supplies. It must have been a matter of some urgency for the Iraqi oil minister, Mr. Issam al-Chalabi, sitting under the inevitable picture of President Saddam Hussein, to have to announce it on a Friday, the Muslim day of rest.
We have introduced the rationing program for the gasoline and the lubricants. The only reason behind that is to ensure that we will have enough. There's a lot of consumption and misconsumption. So we decided that this needs to be organized.
So the weak link has turned out to be the imported chemicals needed in the refining stage of the oil. Iraq went through 8 years of war with Iran without introducing petrol rationing, but in those days, of course, it could always get the chemicals it needed from abroad. The rationing will apply to private cars, taxis and lorries, not to oil for generators nor to fuel for aircraft. The price won't be going up, and Iraqis anyway pay only half what we do, about £1 a gallon. But the ordinary private motorist here will get less petrol in order, presumably, to ensure that the Iraqi army gets the fuel supplies it requires. At the pumps, though, they were taking it stoically.
I can bear everything, but I can't bear anyone to take my country away from me.
Okay. No problem for us. Problem is for you.
It will be a problem here all the same. Baghdad depends heavily on private transport. There's 250,000 cars in the city and 90,000 taxis. After the war with Iraq, a lot of people took the government's offer of early retirement and became taxi drivers. Times will undoubtedly be harder from Tuesday on, when the rationing begins. The public transport system isn't particularly geared up to take the place of private motoring. The bus system has been run down since the war broke out with Iran 10 years ago. Long-distance buses, including ones like these, which take soldiers and other people to Kuwait and elsewhere, are efficient enough, but the city services are less so. Tonight, the realization of the change that's about to come over daily life here is starting to sink in. So far, food supplies have scarcely been affected by the United Nations sanctions, though prices are high. But the rationing of petrol will affect almost everyone, and the atmosphere here is bound to get more difficult as a result. John Simpson, BBC News, Baghdad.
President Bush has once again ruled out the possibility of any compromise deal with Iraq. He said he was as determined as ever to see a total Iraqi withdrawal from Kuwait. He was speaking before meeting the Soviet Foreign Policy Advisor, Yevgeny Primakov, who has been briefing the United States administration on his talks with Saddam Hussein earlier this month.
The Soviet Union may yet play a significant diplomatic role in resolving the Gulf crisis, but after briefing the State Department about his discussions with Saddam Hussein, Yevgeny Primakov merely reaffirmed Moscow's position.
We should look for some possibilities to avoid, from my point of view, to avoid the military clashes.
Rumors that Iraq had offered to withdraw from most of Kuwait, subsequently denied by Baghdad, increased expectations that Primakov might have brought an outline Iraqi peace plan to the White House. Not true, he said.
No message from Saddam Hussein because I am not a messenger.
And President Bush said whatever Iraq's diplomatic maneuvering, it will not divide the Gulf allies. Nothing short of complete withdrawal from Kuwait is acceptable.
I am as determined as I was the day that the first troop left, that Saddam Hussein's aggression not be rewarded by some compromise, not be rewarded by our failing to get him totally out of Kuwait or restore the legitimate rulers.
After almost 2 hours of talks, the Soviet envoy praised Mr. Bush for helping construct a new world order in which aggression like that of Iraq would not be acceptable, and he refused to confirm he was now pessimistic about a peaceful solution.
Я думаю, что мы не должны исключать.
I believe we should not rule out the possibility of a peaceful solution until we have exhausted all options.
What's remarkable about the new superpower diplomacy is the extent to which they continue to speak with one voice against Iraq. While there are differences of emphasis and they could become more important in times of war, such differences are no more significant now than those which exist, say, between the United States and France. Gavin Esser, BBC News, Washington.
Later in this news, so far so good for President Gorbachev. His plan for economic reform is backed by the Soviet Parliament. And magistrates tell the government, you're freeing the criminal and chaining the courts. Now the time is 6:18.
The headlines tonight. Manslaughter charges have been dropped against all the defendants in the trial arising from the Zeebrugge ferry disaster, in which 192 people died. The Liberal Democrats have been celebrating their victory in the Eastbourne by-election, where they overturned a Tory majority of almost 17,000. The Soviet Parliament backed President Gorbachev's plan to move the country towards a market economy. After months of debate, it voted overwhelmingly to accept the proposal, against the advice of the Russian Republic's leader, Boris Yeltsin. He's called the plan a catastrophe and has promised to press ahead with a rival proposal for much faster change. Mr. Gorbachev wants to privatize some industries and give local republics more power to run their own affairs. But there would still be central control of prices. And in contrast to the rival plan, there's no rigid timetable for the reforms.
Daily life in Moscow is hard and getting harder, queuing for bread and the threat of rationing this winter. They're advertising vegetables, but there's none to buy. Now, at the height of the potato harvest, there are only a few rotten potatoes in the state shops. The queues, they're losing patience with the system. In the Supreme Soviet, President Gorbachev won the backing of more than 350 deputies for his compromise reform plan, only a dozen voting against. Many had not seen the plan until this morning. With no specific timetable, privatization but not a swift dash to the market, prices to stay under Moscow control for another 2 years, gradual rather than deep cuts in the budget deficit. 3 architects of earlier rival proposals all appeared smiling at the same press conference to back President Gorbachev's plan. They included Stanislav Shetalin, author of the more radical 500-day reform plan.
This all leaves Russian leader Boris Yeltsin with a problem as to whether he should still go ahead on his own. He once said trying to mix the rival plans would be like trying to mate a snake with a hedgehog. But though they have been mixed, a question remains as to whether the Soviet Union can stay together, whether the Kremlin still has the power to implement tough economic reforms.
Some in the Supreme Soviet are optimistic, seeing the balance of power shift back from Yeltsin to Gorbachev.
We have to cooperate because there is no alternative to that. The alternative is just disaster.
But there's a group of opposition members who are demanding the resignation of the Soviet Prime Minister Nikolai Ryzhkov. They want more negotiations with the republics.
It's impossible to have any program which can be executed without republics, without their promoting, without their adopting their Supreme Council.
Only yesterday, the Prime Minister of Russia signed a new trade deal with the neighbouring republic, Belarus. He said, "We're sorting out our problems without the Supreme Soviet of the USSR." David Loyne, BBC News, Moscow.
The Spanish lorry drivers' dispute, which is now in its 12th day, could soon be over. Union leaders who've been holding talks with government officials in Madrid are recommending acceptance of a new deal. The strikers are demanding subsidies to offset the increased cost of fuel. They've blocked frontier posts to support their demands, stranding thousands of lorry drivers, including many from Britain, at Spain's border with France.
3 judges concluded today that a severely handicapped baby can be allowed to die if it falls critically ill again. One of the judges, Lord Justice Taylor, said the case had created a hideous dilemma, but he stressed that the courts could never sanction steps to terminate a life. The baby boy, who was born in May, is brain damaged, paralysed, and appears to be both blind and deaf.
The appeal court judges have produced important and almost certainly controversial guidelines over the treatment of very severely handicapped infants.
The child in question was named only as Baby J and is likely to develop serious spastic paraplegia. He was born 13 weeks prematurely, weighing just 2.5 pounds and not breathing. Because of the birth problems, he was brain damaged and is likely to be blind, deaf and paralysed. According to the Master of the Rolls, Lord Donaldson, one of the few things he'll be able to experience will be pain.
Lord Donaldson, upholding an earlier High Court decision, said the commandment "thou shalt not kill" was absolute. But he said it was permissible to add the words, "but needs not strive officiously to keep alive." And Lord Justice Taylor said the case had created a hideous dilemma. He said the courts could never sanction steps to terminate life, but in extreme cases, to prolong the life of a severely handicapped child would be so cruel as to be intolerable. Deliberate steps shouldn't be taken to prolong its miserable lifespan.
The British Medical Association, I think, hopes that the decision today about the use or not use of high technology that's available to us will in the future help people, doctors, nurses, patients and their relatives in coming to the right decision in their particular case in the future.
The judges didn't accept arguments from the official solicitor acting as the child's guardian, but courts could never be justified in any circumstances in approving the withholding of life-saving treatment on the basis of the quality of a child's life.
In Northern Ireland, a bishop has praised 2 families, one Catholic, the other Protestant, who united in their grief after separate terrorist attacks. Both exchanged condolences after 2 men were shot dead in Belfast on Tuesday night. Their funerals were held today. The Roman Catholic Auxiliary Bishop of Down and Connor said both families had shown dignity in the face of suffering, gentleness in the face of violence.
Have you ever Concentrate and shoot the stars after midnight. camel led. Your mother's gone hands to the kick out the jams, and your mama is the MC pipe. And the raptor comes to you, first go to the stairs, and you just thank God you were right. I'm living in an all-American day for you. And everyone I know must be the way it clean. You don't understand it, so just let me be alone. Alone is my American day.